Chapter 3 Sick with Want. March 26th, 2016, 9 years before my brother died. I woke up at 4:11 a.m. and knew there was no going back to sleep. My mind wasn't racing, not like it sometimes does, but there was too much energy in me. My mouth felt like a desert. I got up, went downstairs, smoked, and sat down to finish yesterday's entry and begin this one. As I wrote, I couldn't help but think of Dana and Sarah, not obsessively, but about what my feelings toward them mean for my relationship with my wife, Lindsay. She's coming to the family session this morning at the Carolina Center. That means a lot to me. Lately, I've been trying to understand all the ways this disorder has shaped my life. I've realized my mania helped build an armor that protected me from people. Getting made fun of regularly forced me to find a way to redirect attention. Humor and a loud personality gave me just enough social currency to be well liked, which made it harder for bullies to target me. I don't know if that armor was connected to my bipolar disorder when I was young, but by college it definitely was. I didn't get bullied there, but I used humor and energy as a shield, keeping people at arm's length. Dana nailed it in an email she sent the other day. I feel like people make decisions for you and don't really regard what you think about it. While it might not be major things, little ones add up. Nitpicking is some bullshit. I guess I've always wanted you to stand up for yourself and say no to those who hold you down. She's right, of course, but I don't see a way out of this box. Leaving Lindsay would make me into an asshole destined to be alone. Staying keeps me feeling alone, even in a house full of family. Life has me by the balls financially, and I am too reliant on help from my parents. I'm always afraid they will abandon me, even though they have never really given an indication that they would. Since time travel isn't an option, I guess I'm just screwed. I called Sarah tonight, a girl I met while in the loony bin. I knew it was a mistake as I was dialing, but I had to know what the hell happened. Boy, did she tell me. It was a short conversation. After we said hello, I heard the shift in her voice as she realized who it was. I asked if she was pissed at me. She said, "Pissed isn't really the word. You've just become an intrusive presence in my life." Nailed it. I go over the top. I even get close to obsessed. That's not news to me. It's probably all over these notes. I feel sick to my stomach thinking about it. I wish I could blame it on her armor, which may be partly true. But I worried so much about her when she left that I asked people to check in on her. Worse, I asked a mutual friend of ours with no connection to the Carolina Center to check in, too. That was intrusive. That was sharing information that wasn't mine to share. Fuckity fuck. It's yet another reminder that I would absolutely suck at single life. Lindsay kept pressing me today. She called and we talked at one point. Apparently I forgot to say I love you. She texted back, "So we aren't even saying it anymore?" That, of course, led to more conversations about where we are and where we're going. The easiest thing would be to pretend everything is fine. Fake it until I make it. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I should. Lindsay deserves better, but she's deserved better than me this entire time. Saturday nights are always the worst for my depression, and I can feel the darkness grabbing at me as I write this. I just want to grab a bottle and drink until I forget, but I can't. Lindsay would flip, and I know I have to stay away because of the meds. What the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I going to do? Where the fuck is this all going? Chapter 4 The Shape of the Spiral. September 29th, 2023. Follow all that? No? Okay, let's unpack this. Between 2014 and 2015, I had a heart attack that killed 14% of my heart. I was married then, reeling from the chaos of teaching middle school English to at-risk kids. I was unmedicated. Well, not professionally medicated. I was a seasoned pro in self-prescribed remedies. Chemicals, plants, and enough alcohol to fuel a small Caribbean island were my escape routes. I quit drinking for a few years after I got married, but that didn't stick. When I started again, it wasn't celebratory. It was the kind of loneliness-fueled, depressive drinking that steers you toward the abyss. By 2016, I was a mess. Ativan was my candy of choice, washed down with vodka and moonshine, as though I could will myself into oblivion. I was a suicidal wreck, clinging to life only for my son. Lindsay, my ex-wife, was and still is in many ways a wonderful person, but in the warped mirror of my memory, she wasn't the partner I needed when I was unraveling. I wasn't the husband she deserved either. I'll always love her and respect the incredible job she's done raising our son. Still, she wasn't warm or supportive when I needed her most, and I couldn't bring myself to be honest with her, or anyone else I trusted, about what was eating me alive. How do you tell the people you love that, even though you're smiling, you're dying inside? How do you figure out what reality you're in when 15,000 possibilities swirl through your head at once? Teaching only magnified the chaos. Managing a classroom felt like walking a tightrope over a pit of fire, while the administrators who should have been holding the safety net looked the other way. The kids I loved and who, for the most part, loved me, often acted like caged animals, not because they were bad, but because the system treated them like that's all they could ever be. But that's a rabbit hole for another day. Today we're going back to love. Chapter 5, What They Took When They Left. September 29th, 2023 continued. I loved Lindsay when we first got together. For all the ways she could be cold, there was a sweetness about her that drew me in. Love has always been hard for me. I was the first kid in my class to get a girlfriend in first grade, though I didn't realize at the time that it would be one of the few times I'd ever win with a girl. I remember the thrill of it, feeling like I was walking on air. But of course, it all fell apart. After Lee agreed to be my girlfriend, I spent the weekend scavenging for change to buy her something special. Valentine's Day was coming, and the school gift shop was filled with treasures, cherry red pencils bent into heart shapes, multicolored erasers that smelled like strawberries. I picked out a handful of gifts, clutching them like precious jewels, and walked into school on Monday, ready to make my big gesture, because by then I already knew what it felt like to be unwanted. Not from some dramatic rejection or single cruel moment, but from 1,000 small ones. I remember being picked on, mercilessly, quietly, and often by the people I liked most, admired most, wanted to impress the most. The pain didn't come from strangers. It came from the people I wanted to be close to, the kids I thought were cool, the kids I thought might love me back. That's the kind of rejection that stays with you. The kind that teaches you early you're too much. Too fat, too loud, too needy, too emotional, too something. Always too something. I can remember names, so many names, but more than that, I remember feelings. The way a laugh aimed in your direction can split you open. The way silence from someone you love can feel like erasure. The way you start shrinking yourself before anyone even tells you to. I learned to armor up early, and I learned to reach out anyway. That's what I was doing with Lee. I walked into her classroom clutching my gifts. Kids were exchanging cards and candy, the room buzzing with excitement. Just as I was about to hand Lee her presents, a booming voice cut through the chatter. "Frank Anderson, what are you doing in here? This isn't your homeroom." The teacher's tone was sharp, almost mocking. "Oh, you have something for someone in my room? How adorable." The room went silent. All eyes were on me. Lee looked mortified. My face burned as I handed her the gifts and bolted for the door. Giggles followed me, echoing in my ears like a taunt I couldn't escape. By the end of the day, Lee broke up with me, and that was the end of my brief stint as a ladies' man. Of course, that's not entirely true. Looking back, I did have a string of girlfriends growing up. A couple lived in the house next to mine, and I spent countless afternoons playing Ken to Kelly Rooks and Emily Brown's Barbie. Then there was Catherine Norton, who lived across the street. She gave me my first taste of lovesickness when her family moved to Atlanta. I remember sitting on her swing after they left, rocking back and forth, crying, not just because I'd lost a friend, but because I'd lost her. My childhood felt like a series of people leaving me. By the time I met Lindsay, I was already wrecked when it came to women. Throughout middle school and high school, I had obsession-driven crushes on a few different girls, but I never had a long-term girlfriend. During middle school, It was Greer Lyle. She had these amazing dimples, a radiant energy, and, unlike most people, treated me with kindness. She didn't feel the same way about me, but I told her how I felt in a rare moment of bravery. Looking back, I wish I had recognized that as bravery. At the time, all I could think about was that she didn't love me back. When Greer moved away, I found a new obsession in Mary Catherine Evans. She had long blonde hair, was petite, and, like Greer, radiated light. She also treated me better than most girls did, which only deepened my feelings for her. Judging eyes seemed to follow me everywhere, and even the smallest criticism felt catastrophic. I couldn't explain it as a kid, but being around other kids drained me. The joy of playing didn't last long. A void was always there, a hole deep inside that nothing seemed to fill. Mary Catherine and I met in chorus during my freshman year at Christ Church Episcopal School. CCES was known for its wealthy, preppy kids, and I had been a public school kid my whole life. I wasn't happy about the switch. Public school kids like me mocked the Richie Rich, private school kids, but my mom had had enough of the public school system while raising my brother. She said the school I was zoned for was declining, and I vaguely remember doing well on the private school entrance exams. Mostly, though, I think she just believed I was too smart for public school. Either way, I was pissed. Greg teased me endlessly about going to CCES, and I felt like I didn't belong. I knew a few kids from outside school, but the atmosphere was entirely different. I was intimidated and afraid of not fitting in, so I gravitated toward the class clowns and other misfits. Greer fit in easily at CCES. She was polished and poised in a way I wasn't. That's probably why she never wanted to be my girlfriend. Mary, on the other hand, chose to hang out with the artsy kids and nerds. I loved that about her. I sat near her in chorus and went to ridiculous lengths to get her attention, singing my heart out, cracking jokes, anything to make her laugh. Eventually we became good friends, but I always wanted more. Mary, however, never took it further. It didn't matter. I was convinced that if I could get her to love me, it would somehow make me lovable. Even at that age, I was painfully aware of rejection. Maybe it was because both Greg and I were adopted at birth. Finding out I was adopted rocked me to my core. I had so many questions. Did this mean I couldn't trust my parents? What was my birth mother like? Was my biological father a bad person? I felt guilty even having these thoughts, but they haunted me. My parents seemed perfect, which only made me feel more flawed. I knew deep down that something about me was fundamentally wrong. That realization came later. At the time, all I knew was that I desperately craved validation, particularly from women. Mary and I stayed friends on and off through college, but during college I met Dana, who became one of the great loves of my life. At the Carolina Center years later, I met Sarah. She was a wheelchair-bound, sexually abused depressive I connected with during my stay after an Ativan-fueled blackout. We bonded over random nonsense. I thought we had something real. But she left the program early and freaked out when I asked another resident to check on her. I thought I was being kind. I wasn't. It was intrusive. That's a pattern. But let's go back to Dana. Because she wasn't just another crush. She was the first person who ever made me feel chosen. And I would spend the next 20 years trying to recreate that feeling.